morning. Mr. Kinchus here and myself heading to Goshen Brewing Company today. I think we're gonna make some kind of wet hop beer. I don't remember where them hops are from. The earth. They're from the earth. Sorry, did you just say earth? They're from the earth. And when we place a beer that will be consumed. We're gonna hang out with Jesse today and see what Goshen Brewing Company is all about.
Las remesas se dieron y hasta ahorré para un carro, pero sin licencia hoy me siguió la mira del trabajo, me detuvo y hoy me van a deportar. ¿Qué pasó con ese sueño americano? ¿Dónde estoy? De la sociedad me han desaparecido. ¿Dónde voy? Me botaron la frontera sin saber a dónde ir. Yo también tengo una historia. Nos cuenta una inmigrante. Soy madre de 3 muchachos que yo sola los he sustentado.
What's going on? No, what's this? Shit out of here. Whatever, I don't remember any of this. Get the hell out of here.
We can work some.
And make it 9. Oh, hey guys, welcome.
Good
Welcome to Goshen Brewing Company. Yeah, we appreciate it.
No me dan razón de dónde lo han mandado. ¿Qué pasó con ese sueño americano?
We came in around 2013. It had been vacant since the late 90s, so it was just dirty, kind of just the shell core of the building. I brought some people through and had to really sell the idea and the vision for the building, because had people really kind of questioning, is this worth, why not just start new or whatever. But I believed in the character. I believe in the revitalizing old stuff, and just, I think people like cool spaces too. So that was part of it, not just the beer and the food. We wanted a kind of a cool, fun atmosphere. So 2013, we took ownership, through the city. We've got an agreement, so we're renting it still, but we'll own it here in a couple of years. Started demolition and construction 2014, turned everything around, all new plumbing, heating, cooling, kept it real industrial, kind of still cozy, but kind of real raw environment. Didn't want a bunch of things on the walls because we just thought there was natural character and interesting things to attract the eye. Got open in 2015, May of 2015, and so usually there's some traditional kind of styles on the board, but then there's also kettle sours and the New England IPAs. We'll do some barrel aging in Chardonnay barrels or bourbon barrels, or throw in a few more funky combinations to twist on things. I would say our board too is always pretty diverse. Belgian on, a kettle sour on, a lighter like Kolsch or lager, higher alcohol. We've got a wee heavy Scotch ale on now, IPAs, range of stuff. Usually something a little more different. We've got a Gratzer or a Piwo Grodzicka. That actually sounded pretty good. I'm not sure if that's right exactly, but traditional kind of Polish recipe with oak smoked wheat malt, lower alcohol. Built around 1925, old powerhouse building. NIPSCO was housed here. This was my understanding is the distribution kind of center here. There's a water pump house just across the road from us. that supplied the power, or a good majority of the power, I guess.
Singing Taylor to the weather, baby, meet me outside. Taylor to the weather, Taylor to the weather. Taylor to the weather, baby, meet me out.
Yeah, so we've got a 7-barrel electric brewmation stout tank set up. Works well for us. I mean, I like it. If you haven't been here, we've got a pretty small brewing area. It's down in the basement. You know, really had to fit things in there. Nothing special about our mill, except we mill everything. Decent amount of stuff from Indiana, Sugar Creek. Try to get things more local, and that's growing as we've opened up. I just, believe in that aspect of things, as long as the quality ingredients in your beer and fresh stuff. So we've got a 7-barrel system. We started out with 4 7-barrel fermenters and 1 7-barrel bright. So now we've increased by 220% down there in the last 3.5 years. So now we've got 3 15 barrels doing double batches, 6 7-barrels and 1 3-barrel. I have to think about it. It's like 90 barrels, I think, at a time, usually going on down there, and kind of pretty well maxed out in the summertime now. And really, next summer we're probably going to have some issues, and we even did this year trying to keep up. So it's a good problem, but it's like, well, it can't fit much more down there. So.
To the weather, baby, meet me outside. Oh, Taylor to the weather, baby, meet me outside. Oh, Taylor to the weather, baby, meet me outside.
You guys thirsty?
Second opinion is called a Belgian lager. It's a Stella Artois yeast. It really got some nice bready kind of notes from the Munich, a bit of Vienna. Got some nice little zest, more noble type kind of hops. We get our Pilsner malt too, is out of a Sugar Creek Malt Company here in Indiana. So we try to use as much of that as we can. Just a nice, easy drinker, crisp. The lagers have been doing pretty well. Just a nice example of that. 5.7%, 23 IBUs.
Well, like a lot of people, started out as a home brewer, probably 5-6 years ago. Went up to a lot of local breweries asking, hey, do you need a hand? Just like, that was a very common story, not very original. And then I started working at Ironwood Brewing Company in Valparaiso, Indiana. A small 3-barrel system, and Barb, the owner, needed I was like, yeah, I was thinking about hiring somebody in, so let's come in and see if you know what you're doing. I did reasonably well. Started off, was there for about 2.5 years, and started working here last September. Going on over 3 years now professionally.
Well, I didn't even start home brewing until after I got the job to help Jesse with brewing. I started out here working front of house as bartender, server, doing a couple days down in the brewery, just learning the process, improving efficiency, maintaining equipment, inventing things even that can just make our lives easier. Things wear out pretty quickly when you use them every day, so trying to maintain all the equipment. But yeah, I did a little bit of home brewing, but once I started working with the big toys, that kind of sits idle now. I would like to experiment with some stuff. My main thing, I can follow a recipe, and I'm really grateful to Jesse for teaching me all that he knows. But I still feel really valuable here, and have settled into a role that I hope everybody appreciates.
So, yeah, it started like a lot of us, just brewing recipes in the kitchen, 5-gallon batches. Kind of right away was not interested in copying recipes and doing, I think I did maybe 1 or 2 partial extract batches, and I was like, I don't want to do that anymore. I mean, I want to do the all grain. I want to do it from kind of scratch. So I started doing that, and well, some of them were, at the time, seemed pretty good. And then there were some where it was like, not the best idea. You know, you're coming up with all these wild things and probably trying to do a little too much, at least I was. And I think I just dove into it, you know, asking questions, reading, trial and error, but really right away wanting to not make a kind of homebrew product, really wanting to fine-tune things and dial things in. So that's where it started. Made friends with the brewer out of Toledo, great Black Swamp Brewing Company. He's no longer there now, but just started volunteering my time whenever I could make it there. I was about an hour from where I was in Ohio at that point. Became good friends, learned how to upscale things, you know, suppliers and all that kind of stuff. It just kind of trickled from there. From there, this building became an opportunity and pushed me to do the business plan and all that. But yeah, so that's kind of my history of brewing. And here, you know, 3.5 years ago, jumping up to 7-barrel system and learning a lot and growing a lot even as a brewer in these 3.5 years, and will continue to, you know, like we all should be, you know. So.
Started just getting into beers, drinking, you know, just enjoying it with my buddies. And I'm also a musician as well, and I think I've noticed there's like a theme in my life. I love when science and art blend together. That's very much a thing that happens in music. I love like I studied jazz in college, and you know, understanding not just why I enjoy like the sounds in music, like why do I enjoy them, what's happening, how do I like quantify them. And beer is very much the same way. It's like, you know, it's all ultimately, you know, subjective to the person drinking the beer, but there's, you know, the science behind it. How did you get those flavors? How did you get that characteristic in a beer? And I think for me, like, not just the hard analytical aspect, but just the pure subjective enjoyment of, you know, the sensory experience.
Oh man, why not beer? I love beer. I would have to say my favorite style is the IPAs. It's, you know, pretty typical, but I still really like all different kinds of beers and the complexity of the flavors. And it blows my mind that, you know, all of the things that contribute to a beer, not just the hops or the grain or the yeast, but all of them combined, and that you can make the same recipe adding things in a different order, you know, at different times, and you can come up with a different beer. The need for many craft breweries and many different styles. There's just something for everybody. If somebody doesn't like beer, they just haven't tried the right kind yet. That's all I'm saying.
I like the infinite kind of possibilities that are out there for creating a recipe. I like that it takes time. I like that the process along, you know, I'll geek out about, you know, barrel aging something and, you know, adding some wild yeast and the incorporation of the barrel and how it turns out over time, you know, putting it in there 6 months versus a year and a half, or, you know, just all that. I always like kind of brewing and stewing and like marinades and stuff like that. Stuff that takes some time to really develop and see where it starts out from scratch, and then having that vision of what you want it to turn out like. And sometimes it gets there or right away, like first time or whatever. It's like, wow, this is, you know, the way I intended it. But a lot of times it's, you know, a few times of really kind of, well, the body's not quite like we wanted, or, you know, this character didn't come through. What can we do? And adjusting that along the way. I'm not afraid we may put something out that wasn't quite where we intended initially, but I'm not afraid to go back and tweak that recipe and kind of get it right, you know? The community aspect of it, and have great employees, work towards a great working environment that's fun, and I've never felt like, shit, I gotta come into work today. It's not like that. It's more like, how can I balance my time between my family and being here, because I want to be both places. And so it's just the vibe of new breweries and buildings and the stories behind that too. So I've always liked liquid products. I mean, I started drinking beer when I was fairly young, and mostly some cheap domestic stuff, but just kind of grew from there. And I've always, it may sound weird, but I'm almost always have something that I am drinking, whether it's coffee or water or, beer. I'm usually sipping on something. Yeah.
Si nada sale bien.
Yeah, you gotta hold it out straight ahead.
Okay.
9-degree angle, no dropping down your elbows or
Okay.
moving to the side or anything like that. Tell you what, if you could beat me, give your $9 back. Okay? Good luck, buddy.
I'm down.
Ready?
And go.
Got you all day. Hey, Dave.
Oh man, pretty good at this.
It's gonna be so easy, Dave. I don't know.
Never done this before, but I feel like a champion today.
I'm seeing a little water there. Careful, keep your eyes here. You better stay focused.
Tacos?
A veces te da más de lo que mereces. A veces nunca llega a tu corazón. Así es el amor. A veces te deja un mal sabor.
Just finished up at Goshen Brewing Company, heading back home. Had a few beverages today. We made the wet hop beer. We left before they had to clean up all those whole cones out of the kettle. So maybe we'll get in touch with them to see how that worked out. But they had a good system. They had some bags in there that should keep it pretty separated. Got to hang out with a bunch of the crew today. Jesse, Vicky, Derek, several other front of the house staff there today. They treated us to some lovely tacos. Tacos? We had a real good time, like usual. Like we always did. We had a good day.
Got too intense, and it was more like find the leaves, and it's hard to incorporate that stuff, and it's so delicate, and trying to can be super intense or
I did a
kind of
homebrew
medicinal sometimes, I think.
with leaves, and it turned out like swamp water. It was gross. And I tried doing a few different things with that water, and it ended up just going with like peppermint.
Part of being a craft brewer is being open to, that's the whole idea was, something different than, pale lagers that were dominated the beer market for so long. And I think just by nature of being a craft brewer, especially starting from a homebrew level, you have just unlimited options in terms of what you have to do. And I think, taking that kind of ethos to a larger scale, that's definitely just part of being a craft brewer. And then just being able to experiment like this, at the art aspect of it, being able to mix and mash different styles or ideas. I think that's just part of the ethos of being a craft brewer.
When I say fresh, they were, just freshly picked. Normally, they'll be dried, and you can give them the whole cone or pelletized. But it just adds, kind of a different flavor. This time of year, hops are picked in the fall, late summer. And so it's like once a year, you see these beers around in different breweries. So
Just adds a different kind of flavor, kind of dankness. Yeah, we'll see. It's always kind of fun to see how they turn out. So that's what we're doing today.
Such a long day. Just finished up.
Oh, hey. Jammer.
What is that?
What do I do with my hands? Do I just...
Alright, Chewy. Whoa.
Need a swig.
So who you texting? It's my wife, Brian. Oh, I thought I was the only one. And I read right now.
Yeah, two.
Yeah, no, right. That's a lot of liquid.
Yeah.
There you go.
We're good.